I wanted to make a video to switch things up and break up the monotony of the horn reviews so I don't burn you guys out. This video is going to be about weapon popularity, why certain weapons are so popular, and why you should broaden your horizons. Starting off with the hunting horn increase in popularity, I think this will be a pretty steady spot for it to hang around percentage-wise. I don't want to get my hopes up too far. I know that we've had more people trying out hunting horn with Iceborne, but people still see it as a slower version of the hammer, and that's it. To be fair, it is slower than the hammer, but with the addition of the horn spin and other things, you have a vast way to exploit monsters when they're vulnerable. I still think the speed of the encore motion should be sped up a little bit, but as we can tell with people who speedrun with the hunting horn, when you play it well, it can stand with any of the other weapons as far as damage. The longsword being the clear favorite is by no means surprising to me. It looks very stylish when you play, especially in Iceborne. It deals awesome damage, and the skill curve of it really rewards you for skilled play. I myself don't have a huge draw to the longsword, but I absolutely see why it's the most popular. Even when I jumped in with a basic knowledge of how to play longsword and a rarity 10 longsword, it was still easy to put out solid damage. And then when you put something like the Gold Rathian longsword in the hands of a skilled longsword user, they can do absolutely insane damage and take monsters out in no time. Moving on to long-range weapons, it surprises me that the bow is that much higher than both of the bowguns. As far as how they look, I don't really think that's what separates them. From a DPS sense, I'm curious to see just how much the heavy bowgun is going to fluctuate in percentage with the heavy bowgun of Zinogre tearing through monsters the way it is. Doing the most DPS possible is the goal of most people in Monster Hunter World, and it doesn't get much easier than the Zinogre heavy bowgun. I myself only dabble in the long range classes a little because of the limitations with my finger dexterity, but even when I dove into trying out the bow, I can see why people enjoy using it. From the pure damage capabilities to even the elemental damage potential, it's clear why it's sitting as high as it is. The weapon that I think honestly got the most benefit from the Iceborne treatment was the switch axe. Having a reason to actually use it in axe mode, more than just to get into sword mode, has done wonders for it. It's very fun to play in my opinion, and it almost has Gunlance flexibility with all the different ways and styles you can play. It's really surprising to me that the switch axe is as low as it is, with the potential damage it can do, and it doesn't really have a high skill curve. Calling back to those changes it received in Iceborne, it was even given slinger shot escapes from some of its animations that kept you locked. The one detractor for myself with the switch axe is that I kind of feel like all of them look way too similar from design standpoints. I do feel like it's going to get more popular as Iceborne goes on though. I'm absolutely shocked to see how low the Gunlance is. I figured between the two it would be higher than Lance. The wide 6 situation is a bit of a problem right now. The only wide 6 Gunlance in the game is pretty average, and for some reason Capcom thinks Gunlance is too strong. But if that's the case, then why is it used almost the lowest amount? I myself adore the Gunlance and have been having a blast with the long shelling play. Full burst is a risk-reward style of play that you can really get rewarded for if you have patience and are really well at positioning yourself. Wide Gunlancing right now is by no means not a viable option, but it's definitely not as strong as it should be, and with only one level 6 wide shelling option, you don't really have a lot of flexibility. All of the Rajang weapons got substantial DPS boost and raw attack power boost, except for the Gunlance for some reason. Now with the less popular weapons like the switch axe and the lances, are they too straightforward in their playstyles for people? Capcom tried to solve the issue for Lance by giving them offensive guard to entice people to be even more aggressive and less defensive. They also gave Switch Axe a much needed buff to Axe mode to break its one-dimensional reputation. Maybe people still haven't given them a chance yet and think they're still in their less aggressive states. So in saying all of this, what is the main proponent of weapon popularity? Is it DPS? Is it looks? Weapon designs? To me, it's a complex answer. I think the main proponent is damage. Big numbers. The heavy hitting attacks. Weapons like the Greatsword and Charge Blade can really give you the big numbers with the Charge Slash and the Elemental Discharge, respectively. Even the Longsword can give you that rush when you see those numbers pop up after your Helmbreaker, including the fact that you look like a badass samurai while doing it. But when it really comes down to it, every weapon has the potential to top the DPS charts depending on your build and your skill with the weapon. The greatsword has a simple formula to pull off huge damage, but hitting with that final blow can be harder for some. On the flip side, even a more complex or involved weapon, like the charge blade, is sitting in the top 5, and it may even be benefiting from this complexity because maybe the community loves a good challenge. From there you go to the style of play, how you feel when you're pulling off these combos. Longsword even just looks awesome when you're watching a skilled player do their thing on a hunt. Even the bow is pretty stylish play with hunters gliding, charging, dragon piercing, and not to mention they're pretty much in the top tier when it comes to elemental damage. When you combine all three of those things, damage, stylish play, and weapon design, what weapon comes to mind first? For me, it's without a doubt the longsword. The biggest thing to take away from this is that weapon viability is attributed to personal skill, preference, and there's really no class that outdoes the other in such a grand or broken way. For every longsword speedrunner, I guarantee you I can find a hunting horde speedrunner that can match or come close to them, someone like Grifted. Take all of these best build videos with a grain of salt because you have to have the skill to execute and get those high numbers. You can throw the greatsword in someone's hands, and if they aren't skilled enough to execute a well-placed true charge slash, then you'll most likely see them time out or continually cart. Take the time to try out every weapon in the game, no matter what bias you might have or what this or that video might have said is the new broken or OP weapon class. You'll notice on quite a few of the classes I haven't soaked a lot of time into, I'm fighting monsters like Gama and the Guiding Lance to practice and get a better feel for them while also ranking up regions. The worst thing you can do is try out a new or unfamiliar weapon class against a tough monster right off the bat. It'll just soil any amount of desire you have to really give the weapon a chance. I'm anxious to see where things stand now that Iceborne has been out for a little while. I'll be compiling my top 5 weapon classes that I use and have that out ASAP, so stay tuned for that. What do you think is the main reason the numbers shook out the way they did? What do you think my top 5 weapon classes will be? What are your top 5 classes? Sound off in the comments below because this is a topic that I definitely want to discuss and see what you guys are thinking. If you like this video, please do let me know with a thumbs up. Subscribe for more Iceborne content if you haven't already. Have a good night and happy hunting.